Mental illness can hit people of all ages, races, income levels. More than 500,000 New York City residents every year receive mental health services right in their own neighborhoods. Here are some of their stories. Before mental illness hit, Pat Feinberg's life had revolved around her work and family.
Previously, I had a career as a special ed teacher, and I had a co-op in Forest Hills and 2 children.
Pamela Myrick's expected a typical childhood for her grandson.
Justin was born just like a normal, healthy baby.
Ed Harkowitz had a stable life.
For 13 years, the bipolar condition was under control.
Mental illness changed everything.
As he got older and older, we began to see that there was a problem, that Justin could not sit down. He could not follow directions.
Everything was going fine until I became homeless.
When my son was a toddler, I suffered my first episode of manic depression.
Luz Delia Melendez loved being busy.
I used to get up in the morning, go to church, and then go to my job.
Carmen Favorite saw a promising future.
I came to New York for a better life.
Mental illness caught them off guard.
So all this changed. I had the whole day, and I wasn't even, what am I going to do today?
And I went home one evening, and then when I woke up next morning to go to work, I realized that I was paralyzed from my head right down. I was taken to the hospital, and there they discovered that I had HTLV type 1 virus, which is a leukemia virus that attacks the immune system, and it damaged the spinal cords. So my nightmare began. I went into Great Depression because being an able-bodied person and just waking up and to find yourself not able to do anything for yourself, that's tragedy. That's a disaster.
I was under a great deal of pressure, teaching special ed and being a single parent, and I started to panic.
I had 3 kids also that is looking forward and depending on me because they don't have their father. So I'm the only father and the only mother they know.
My ex-husband had relocated to California, and he withheld my children.
I lost my kids, and they went into foster care.
That just really magnified my mental illness tenfold.
At the beginning, I didn't want to stay alone in the house. So I knew I was depressed, and I was crying a lot. Everything, happiness, sadness, whatever it was, I was crying.
We had put Justin in a nursery thinking that, well, maybe he needs to be with other children. But from day one, the complaints started. Justin hits, Justin doesn't sit down, Justin doesn't follow directions.
I wound up in the hospital again because of the homelessness. It was a trigger which set off the demons of the bipolar condition.
For me, it's like the system's shutting down, like the lights turned off, and decisions become difficult to make.
What happens to me when I'm out on the street with no place to sleep, I'm afraid to go to sleep because I don't know what's going to happen to me. I feel like I'm on overload, constantly having to be aware of what's going to happen to me. At that point, the part of my condition that makes me feel very scared would take over, and that's when they say decompensation occurs, and I become very fragile, and I need to be in the hospital for a while.
They tried to medicate Justin, trying to even out his behaviors, but none of them helped. They even tried hospitalization. The nurses would say, Justin kept us up all night crying. staring at the window looking for you to come. And, you know, we said, you know, it's really not our idea of having Justin in the hospital. We feel that as much as they could do for Justin can be done at home.
I went back to the Board of Ed for 4 months as a special ed teacher.
I had lived in the shelter for 1 year.
I failed at that job. I couldn't withstand the pressure.
January of 2000, I was in the shelter and I was in my bed as the clock struck midnight, not knowing what was going to happen to me.
You don't want to tell everybody how you feel. And they are depending on you to help them. But I needed help.
The clubhouse was a place I could come back to. They have a transitional employment unit, so this helps you ease back into the working world.
So I went to the social worker and I said, do you know a place that I could go? And so I could talk how I feel. We started with one-on-one, and so she moved me to the support group. There we meet about 10, 12 women.
When I came here, I said I want to live here. It looked like a first-class renovated building, clean, secure.
When I come here to the mental clinic, I find something that works with me.
The clubhouse, they really care about you, and it's kind of a network of people.
You could talk to them, and they could talk to you, and you could, you relate to the group.
And it gave me the opportunity to once again live independently.
Other community members will sometimes alert a staff member, or they'll hear that so-and-so is not doing too well, and it's kind of a family type situation.
Having a social worker on the premises assigned to me who I would check in with, but who basically knows that I do everything right.